Akdama. We are basically learning in סימן Pei in Shulchan Arוך. סימן Pei.
Sif Yudalit.
What are we up to? Yudalit? Okay.
Oh no, it's Tezvav.
Tezvav. Now, before we're going סימן Tezvav, I just want to give a little bit of Akdama. The Chal, as I mentioned yesterday, the סימן Pei goes through the Lamed Tes Malachos. And it gives a brief dinim about the Lamed Tes Malachos. There's much more to it. You're looking at the Rebbe Shulchan. The whole Chelek Beis is Dinei Shabbos and the big Arichas. And in fact, it's one of the in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, there's a lot missing that we don't have. We don't know if the Alter Rebbe wrote it or not, but we definitely don't have it. And there's a lot missing. And in Hilchos Shabbos, if I remember correctly, there's only one siman that's missing. That's I think Shin Chav Aleph or Shin Chav Beis. Here is Shin Chav. There's a Shin Chav Gimel here. There's a Shin Chav Aleph, and there's no Shin Chav Beis. That's the only sim I think that's missing. Maybe one more, but I think that's the only one. So now, till now, when I say till now, I mean yesterday and Thursday, we were learning about a malacha known as dosh. And dosh means, as I explained, threshing, or in Yiddish, dreschen. It's where they, basically the malacha is by tvua. That they had to knock out the kernels from the stalk and from the shell that they were in. You have to knock it out. Then we learned also that Dosh has told us, and the told us is mefarik. Today, in סימן Tezvav, we're going to start learning the dinim of boida. Now, boida sounds the same as mefarik, or the same as dosh. I mean, the Av and the Tolda, what's the difference between this and this? So the answer is that what some people explain, that in dosh, l'mashal, when you, going back to the mashal that I give, that there's a stalk, and on top of the stalk there's a bag, and in the bag there's kernels. The kernels are attached to the bag, so we want to break the bag in order that the kernels should fall out. So you have basically one item, which is the kernel, that's attached to the bag. And we have to separate it, break it off. That's dosh. By boida, you have two items.
Separated?
Two separate items, but you want to do certain things to separate them. So it's similar to it. Now, where did they have, where they had dosh in the Mishkan? So chayre is pashut. I mean, they had to bake bread in the Mishkan. They baked the lechem upon them, right? So how do you bake bread? You have to get flour to bake the bread, right? So you go through the whole zereya and everything. You have to plant and all the details in order to get ultimately to the flour. So you have dosh in the Mishkan. Where is Baida in the Mishkan? So the Alter Rebbe says as follows. In the beginning, there's in Siman Shin Yutes is the din habayda b'Shabbos. The Alter Rebbe says like this. Listen to this. Habayda who may ovis malachos. The bayda is one of the ovis malachos. She came to Mishkan, in the Mishkan. Hayabayden hapsailis mitechas hamamonim. In the Mishkan, they had samamonim. Samamonim were used for dye. They needed dye, so that was it was made from the samamonim. Ufichach kol habayre psoilis mitoicha eichel. Also, afilu biyodei achas v'afilu kedei lechel le'alta chayiv. So, no, anyway, if you do it, you're chayiv. Then he says, "Avo habayre eichel mitoich apsoilis." That's also good at when you buy the psoilis mitoicha eichel. But if you buy the eichel mitoicha psoilis, kedei lechel le'alta. This is one of the conditions over here. One thing is that it's you buy the
good from bad.
Good from bad. Another thing is lechel le'alta. What does le'alta mean? Le'alta means before the suda. But if you do it, let's say, early in the morning, because you want to prepare for when people come home for shul, that's not called for shul, even for lunch. But if it's a few hours away, ain't a chayiv. Elam came by the benapa. You have to use a keli. So those are the conditions when baita is chayiv. But otherwise, baita is not chayiv. Okay, that I just wanted to mention over here. So whenever you have two items, and we're going to learn over here also that not only by food, dosh is by food. They say the ikka dosh is by gidule karka, by things that grow from the ground. And mefarik is Rav Davka that's growing from, that's already the tolda. So that's not the Yasa Midraisa, it's also only Midrabanan. But by baita, it's by food and by anything. We're gonna learn over here, we'll discuss later, Marshall, if somebody, let's say, wants to put on a tie, Shabbos morning, and he has his ties hanging on a rack, and he goes over and he takes one tie off. I don't like this tie; it doesn't match to my shirt, whatever. Takes another tie. That's where the shayla baita. Give me an example of shayla baita.
But then he's taking good from.
But the one that you don't want is called psoilis.
But once it's in your hand, now it became no good.
But you don't want it. So the one that you don't want is called psoilis. We're going to see over here. If you look over here, Levi, look Tezayin. We're up to Tezvav. Look Tezayin. He says, "Afilu b'midi delav barachila shayach isabreda kagain b'kelim ukiyetzaboy the mashu roitz lishtamish boy ata havi k'moy oichel v'ashar havi k'moy p'seigus." Okay, so that's you have another. Now let me give you.
If he has a stack of kalim, like bowls.
So if you want, no, the pull-out won't in the middle.
I think you're taking good
Yeah,
from
but
bad.
the pull. If you see the one you want, you take it. So you're not touching the others. We're talking about that. You said.
Like this, and you're picking it up like this, and you're taking it out. And
Well, you have to move it, and they should be able to get it out.
it can happen. You have a closet. That's very
Well, let me give you a popular shayla, which with everyone there was once a lot of talk about it. Marshall, people have salt on the table, right? So some people have salt that you dip in, and some people have a salt shaker. When it comes to Marshall, in a place where there's damp weather, so the salt becomes caked up. So what's the eitzah? The eitzah is to put rice in the salt.
In the salt, shake it together with the salt.
And then later, so the shayla is,
Now you
if
put
you're
butter.
using the salt shaker, is that considered butter or not?
Well, that's a good question. But a lot of places they have it. They put it on
course.
Shabbos.
What?
They use it for things they give it out by caterings places.
Right, so that's what he says. There's rice in it, there's a shallow.
So the question I'm asking, is that considered butter? The Upaya was saying that the thing that you don't want, is considered psoigus. The thing that you do want is considered oichel. So is that considered? And not only that, not only the shayla. when I read out the Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, so it said that it also has to be Bekeli. That the Issa, by the Deraisa, is Bekeli. If it's not Bekeli, it's not also with Deraisa.
And here's Mamash Bekeli.
Over here's Mamash Bekeli. Right? So some taka don't use a salt shaker if it has rice in it on Shabbos.
I stopped doing
For that reason, huh?
I stopped putting
You
salt
see,
in.
I was right. There's some people, but
If I'm allowed to, I'll do it. I'll put it
okay.
back.
But some want to say a heta that you're allowed to do it. Why? Because they say the emes is when the salt shaker is not a keli that's made to separate the rice from the salt shaker is made that you shouldn't put too much salt on your food.
Right.
If you didn't have a salt shaker and you're
Not
just
like this.
shaking, let's say, from a glass, you wouldn't be able to eat the food. Kumta is that the salt shaker is not made for the purpose of baita, it's just to get out a limited amount of salt. Therefore, the others that do use such a salt shaker on Shabbos, they say that that's not considered baita because you're not shaking the salt in order to separate it from the salt. You're shaking the salt to get it out, and the shaker is not made to separate
those two
salt
things.
from rice, but to get you out a limited amount of. So I'm telling you that there's some that don't.
Yesh al mi lismach.
Yesh al mi lismach. There was in the Gera Kailul, there was a Yid by the name of Rabbi Elia Fisher. He was a big Talmud Chacham. He was the Rosh HaKailul, but he had a falling out with the Gera Rebbe years ago. So he made a sefer on Hilchos Shabbos, based on the Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. In Ger, they don't learn out the Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. They learn Mishnah Brura. It's another thing. Not only that, but in Ger, on Shabbos, I think before Kriyas HaTorah, after Kriyas, there's a hefsek, and the Eigen learns Mishnah Brura. And he liked the Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, and the Ger didn't like him because of that. So he writes this photo that I'm telling you now.
He says you can
I
do
saw
it.
it in his sefer on Hilchos Shabbos.
All right, I have a
He
good